From Bemis Craft Corner, and I have a project for us today. It's sort of paper, but not paper, but it is paper, okay? So this is just the demo, right? And what this is these are pictures of my family on here, and we're going to walk through this. I can let you know that I printed these on my regular, inkjet printer. They worked just fine to do this. I'm going to get you a list of supplies, and we'll get started on this one. We're going to make another one together, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, so first and foremost, you're going to want one of these. This one is from Paper Studio. It's called Chip Decor, and it is 20 inches by 6 3/4 inches at its highest point. And this one is $5.99. And because it's Paper Studio, if you buy it on that when they have like the 40-50% off, you can get it for much less than that $6. You could do this on, one of the ones from the dollar store if you want to. But I like this one. It's nice and thick. It's 3 layers of heavy chipboard. And, it's going to be what I need for this. The next thing you're going to want is some decoupage paper or napkin, whatever it is you want to put on here to Mod Podge on this. Because you're not going to be able to cover every square inch, but you want it to be covered. A craft knife, some paint, some gel medium, water, and a brush, something to seal it with. This is a clear base, glaze base clear sealer, your ink and dauber, and you are probably going to want, in addition, you're going to want some black paint for around the edge here if you're using the chipboard. Let's see what else. And then, of course, your pictures. So what you want to do is you want to take these pictures, and we'll talk a little bit more about these, but what you're looking for are face pictures mostly. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to prep these in the computer so that you guys can use them. All right. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move everything out of the way. I have the board here for when I'm cutting, and I have the paper underneath to protect my work surface. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything out of the way, and then when I come back, we're going to get started on the process of getting this prepped and ready to go, okay? So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting down a layer of paint here, and I'm going to be using some ivory. And I want to warm it up just a bit. So I'm going to be adding just a little bit of earth brown to this. Tad more. Here we go. Okie dokie. And then, because what I'm looking for is something that looks, old. Okay, and then we're going to use black chalk paint on the edge. So I'm going to do the front first. And I know how strange. I'm going to be using a sponge brush to put this on here. And then once I get like 2 coats on here, then I'm going to come back and use some low-tack tape so that I can do the sides. So I'm going to get this part done, and then once I have this on here, I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to tape this all off, and then we'll get on to the next part, and then we'll finish up our prep to do our project, and we'll get started on this thing, because there's a lot of prep involved, okay? I apologize, but it is kind of necessary, okay? So, little sponging of paint, 2 coats, and then moving on to the next part, okay? All right, so I'm going to get 2 coats on here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have our 2 coats on here, we're going to get started painting the edge here. And here's what I know. If you paint with the back side up to paint your edge, you're less likely to get any paint on the front piece. So, the back will look like, you know, a disaster, but the front won't be so bad, okay? It's really hard for me to do this and to see, so. But I've got the back towards me. And that allows me to put my brush on here, and if it's gonna spooge over, it spooges on my side, on the back side. Just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this on here. And remember, we're using chalk paint to do this part. You can do this with any kind of paint that you want. You can do it in any color you want. It's entirely up to you. If you want to put the tape on, put the tape on. It's entirely up to you. You could sit here and tape this, absolutely. Okay. So, I'm going to get my edges painted, and then I'll be back, and we will move on to the next part of this, okay? Now, if you get a little bit of paint on the front, don't freak out, okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen, okay? But don't freak out because of it, because we are going to be covering that up in the next couple of steps, all right? Don't make a mess of it, but you know, a little bit here and there ain't gonna hurt none. Okay? All right. So go get your edge painted, and I'll be back to see you in about, well, for you guys it'll be a flash, but for me it'll be about 30 minutes. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, next part. Get out your gel medium, your Mod Podge, your glue and water, whatever it is you're gonna use. And some tissue paper, music sheets, whatever you want to use. And you are going to Mod Podge that all over this. Now, if you miss a couple of spots, it's okay, because this is just the first layer. Okay? So, Mod Podge your little heart out. Once you get this all covered, we're going to let it dry, and then going to trim this off, and then we're going to get started on the next part. Okay, so get this all covered. You don't want to do the sides, just the fronts, okay? Get it all covered, and once you have it all covered, then We'll come back, we'll do some trimming, and then we will move on to the next part. Okay? So if you do this and you have a piece that you miss, you know, like a little, let me show you what I'm talking about. Right there. I missed it. No big deal. Keep moving. Okay? Not a problem. Now, I'm hoping everybody knows, but you know, some people don't know how to Mod Podge, so we'll talk about it real quick. So basically what it is it's gluing things down and applying glue over the top. So you do this with your Mod Podge, you can do this with your gel medium, you can do this with regular glue. Okay? Just paint it on. Put your tissue paper, napkin, whatever it is you're going to use over the top, and just keep adding your adhesive. It doesn't matter if you layer it up. And for this project, it's not going to matter if you miss a piece, okay? All right. There we go. All right, so I'm going to finish Mod Podging this, and I'll be back. Okay, so once you have it all covered, the next part is to trim off the excess paper. That's what you can use the craft knife for. And you just want to get, you know, any part of it that's, you know, hanging around. Just kind of trim it off. And you can turn it upside down and just kind of follow it around. So a cutting mat may be a good thing here. You know, depending upon what you've got covering your desk to begin with. And you just want to get in as close as you can, all the way around. And trim all of this off, okay? So, we're going to do that. And then we're going to come back and move on to the next step, all right? All right, so once we get it all trimmed down, just to kind of, you know, clean it up, nail file works good for this. Just kind of file it towards the back. And it will take that extra bits of paper off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Get this all cleaned up. And once I have it all cleaned up, I'm going to come back and we're going to start talking about the next part. And we're going to need some pictures. So, don't start printing stuff out just yet. We're going to talk about it a little bit, okay? Alright, so I'll be back in just a few minutes. And we will move on, okay? Okay, let's talk about the pictures. So, if you're working on Windows 10 and you open up your photo viewer and you click on a picture, it's going to come up in your photo viewer and it's going to look like this. This is your regular original piece. Well, at the very top of that window, there's a little square that has like a, I guess like a hill in it. Click on that. It is the button that allows you to resize the picture and all of that. And if you click on the little brush in the middle, it's going to give you some different filters. The ones I like to use are this one, which is burlesque, this one, which is denim, and this one, which is vanilla, okay? And you can see I've used all of them here. All right, so I have my whole family, even Harry, all in pictures, ready to go. And So we're going to get started on the next part. So to do that, we're going to cut these all apart and get them all ready to go. Now, I did this on the original, let me see, right here, on my regular $30 printer, okay? I used the heavy gel, and they did not run. So, up to you how you want to do this. So go cut your pictures out, pick the ones that you want, pull them up, use the different filters, see which ones you like, and then get all your pictures cut out, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish our sign, okay? All right, that's it. That's your next assignment. I'll be right back, okay? Right. So, I have all my images cut, and I have my ink, and I have a brush, my gel medium, and my sign. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of, you know, think about where I want to put stuff. And get to putting. Let's see. I think I'm going to put this over here. So all I'm going to do is just Mod Podge this on, just like I did the paper. A little glue. My image. And I'm going to put as many or as few on here as I want. And then I'm going to go back and trim just like I did with the tissue paper or napkin, whichever you're using. And you know, you have an image like this, you can trim this out a little bit. Give it some ink. And then tack it down. So I'm just going to go through and get all of my images, and I may not use every single image, but you know, I'm going to get my images that I want to use, and I'm going to find spots for them and put them down, and some of them I'm going to cut, and some of them I'm going to leave just the way they are and let the letter decide what it's going to look like. And we're just going to get these all on here. So once I have them all on and this is dry, then I'll be back and we're going to move on to the next part, okay? So go put your images down. Okay, so now I have them all on here. They're all glued down. So now the next part is just trimming these exactly as we did the tissue paper or napkin. So we're just going to get a blade or, you know, your nail file or your sandpaper, whatever it is you want to do. And we're just going to trim these all off. as cleanly as you can. And then, you know, take off the rest with some sandpaper. And just be careful that you don't, you know, tear your image when you're doing this part. And once you get it all done, the next part of this is going to be sealing it. So go ahead and get this part done, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some sealers and getting it sealed. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, so I've trimmed it all down and I filed it and stuck down anything that was sticking up, and I've got it just the way I want it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this with a varnish, and I'm going to be using Starlight varnish, which has a little bit of a glimmer to it. So, just going to get some of this on the brush, and we're going to coat the whole thing. Has a little bit of an iridescent sparkle in it. And I like that. Oh, but it smells like varnish. And then this is going to take about an hour to dry. I can hit it with my heat tool and dry it, but I don't want to run the risk of anything coming loose. And I'm going to do 2 coats of varnish on here. So once it's all done, I will come back and show you the finished product. Now remember, this doesn't have to be pictures of, you know, kids or grandkids. This could be, you know, just maybe you like pictures of the ocean, you know, and maybe you've got one that says happiness. So you're going to put what makes you happy on it, you know. It is entirely up to you what you want to put on this, what word you want to use. But I'm going to give this about an hour to dry, and then I'm going to hit it with a second coat, and then I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like in the end. I'll be back in just a bit. And there it is. All done. Now I am probably going to go out and put a coat of polyurethane on this as well, just to seal, you know, around the sides and everything to make sure that I have it well sealed. And then I'm going to hang it up, because those are my babies. Got all my kids and my grandkids and my wedding picture and my favorite kitty cat. I got everything that matters to me, even the old broad. Well, you know, I figured she's their grandmother and great-grandmother, and so we got to put her there someplace. So I put her on there too. So I got the whole family on there. And it's all ready to go. And as you can see, it's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. I don't know if you guys can really pick that up. But There you go. You can see it. There's a little bit of a shimmer to it, and I like it. So that's it. That's my project for today. I want to thank you guys for, coming along on this one with me. And if you have any questions, as always, just put them in the comment section below or reach out via instant message or email. All that information is in the description box and get you all the answers you need. But that's it. That's all I have. So until the next time, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.